Well, it's been another busy day at eNCA. Former President Jacob Zuma finally addressed the crowd, and he took aim at the former Public Protector Thuli Madonsela and Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. Zuma then thanked lawyer Dali Mpofu for ensuring that he was sleeping at home. So let's unpack the day's events now. I'm joined by the University of Cape Town's Associate Professor in Public Law, Cathy Powell. Cathy, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We spent a good few days embroiled in Zuma mania. Even us as the media, we're not exonerated for this. We are in there. However, what is happening in eNCA right now, is it a true test of a maturing democracy, or could this possibly be the signs of a divided nation?
There's no doubt that it's a sign of a division. The question is just how strong the break-off, the splinter group is that wants to question the authority of the Constitution and the authority of the Constitutional Court to interpret it. We don't know how strong that is, and I'm not sure that that should make any difference to the legal analysis, which is one of the points Thuli Madonsela made a few moments ago in the coverage you've been doing.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with the legalities of this. Analysts would argue that the Constitutional Court, as the apex court of the land, is experiencing its true test. Now, Jacob Zuma this afternoon insisted that the judges failed him by threatening his rights. Is there any truth to that claim?
No, I don't think there is, and the majority judgment makes it clear why there isn't. The minority judgment disagrees, and it's maybe important to establish quite what the difference is between those two judgments, because I think the Zuma camp is treating the minority judgment as somehow proof that the majority judgment is, and I quote, unconstitutional, which is the weirdest thing to say about a judgment of the Constitutional Court. Basically, both judgments agree. This was contempt of court. Both judgments agree that imprisonment should be imposed. But where the difference lies is that the minority judgment says that because this is a civil matter, so it's the Commission versus Zuma, there has to be an attempt to coerce Zuma to comply with the finding of the court and actually go testify at the Commission. And unless there's this attempt, in other words, unless this sentence is at least suspended, then the whole proceedings turn into criminal proceedings, and Zuma should go back to the criminal court for the contempt of court case to be heard there. Now, the majority makes a very clear argument as to why it does not accept this. One of them is that as a court, and never mind the apex court of the land, it should have the power to defend its own authority. And if it were dependent on the NPA to pick up this contempt of court case, then it has in effect made itself weaker in a situation where its strength is being put to the test.
Yeah. Look, let's go back to where this thing started. So former President Jacob Zuma, while addressing his supporters earlier today, once again emphasized that he has never been opposed to appearing before the Commission of Inquiry, just that he made a request with reason for Judge Zondo to recuse himself. Now, this is where the ball started rolling, one would say. Is there any merit in his stance? And I did not deny or did not want to appear before the Commission, but rather I said, give me somebody different who's perhaps even more objective. Many analysts, including even some opposition, in the country, saying that actually Zondo partly to blame for this because he allowed this to spin out of control.
I think Zondo could definitely have flexed his muscles a little earlier. I think that he bent over backwards to try accommodate Zuma, and that has helped to create this problem. And in fact, the Constitutional Court has said so. It said so twice. I agree. But that doesn't mean that Zondo's refusal to recuse himself created this crisis. Zondo tried for a period of about 2 years to accommodate Zuma's demands before he would actually talk to the Zondo Commission. So Zuma mustn't say that he was willing all along to talk to the Commission. He arrived and then he marched off in a huff because he was being asked hostile questions, and then he wanted to know what questions he was going to be asked in advance. There was a great deal of scurrying around Zuma to try and get him to speak voluntarily. Then when he wouldn't do that, they said, okay, well, let's use our powers to summons him, which they have as a commission. Even then, they held a hearing at which he was allowed to make representations about whether they should summons him. So it's been ridiculous how much they've accommodated him. Finally, when he would not cooperate, they summoned him. He still would not cooperate. And then they went to the Constitutional Court. So no, On the facts, Zuma has never wanted to cooperate with the Zondo Commission.
Yeah, but then just on that note, though, Cathy, to play a little bit of devil's advocate, the assumption, is it naive that had Zondo indeed recused himself, we would not be where we are today? That Zuma, because they would have had another judge sitting before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, would have had to account of what happened in the last 9 years?
No, there's no way a different judge would have made Zuma suddenly start behaving. He can make exactly the same evictions to the next judge, and the one after that, and the one after that. And that indeed is why the rules around recusal are slightly different. Like contempt of court, it's a situation where the conflict is between the litigant or the witness and the court itself. And if the witness or the litigant is allowed simply to say, I don't like this judge, give me another one, then that witness or that litigant can hold up the court proceedings or the commission proceedings forever. So the way the civil law works is that it's the judge or criminal law. The judge has to decide, first and foremost, whether that recusal application is justified, explain why or explain why not. And Zondo's explanation was perfectly plausible. Basically, Zuma had made a case for Zondo's recusal. Had Zondo recused himself then, he would simply have been playing in magic thinking that seems to infect all of Zuma's followers and Zuma himself, that he can have a process exactly the way he wants it, or he doesn't have to take it. That's not what the rule is.
Cathy, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for your insights. Of course, that is Cathy Powell, Professor of Public Law.